Libra rising. How you doing, Libra? This is going to be your reading for the Sagittarius new moon that's happening on the 1st of December 2024. Ishali tiala, dishini moyela, dishini moyela, limo doshinia, dishini moyela dina. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multidimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. All of this is bringing in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through in this reading. So, I work with 6-month cycles, so what's coming through in this reading is going to serve you energetically to the Sagittarius full moon next year in Gemini season. Ishali so if you're watching this after the event, you are not missing out on anything that's coming through. The energies have been very active with this full moon. So I'm going to be... I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who do not have Libra in the first house in your natal chart, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house and you want to apply those themes. Say it's the 4th house of home, right? And your foundations. You want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Libra. Sun, moon, whatever the celestial bodies are hanging out there, you want to add all that together and then apply it to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Libra energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the 1st house. So the astrology for the rising sign will always still link in. You've just got to add on your natal chart meaning on top of it. So I'm going to be breaking down the astrology for the rising sign. And as I do so, I'm going to be shuffling some tarot. There's going to be 3 piles here. The first pile is going to be what's the intention of the new moon? What's the download and the energy frequency and the vibe that you're then working with over the next 6 months? Pile 2 is going to be the challenge, and then how to work with that challenge, because we're always working with 2 sides of the same coin, and the more that we do the challenging work, the more the ease and the flow comes in. That's just where we're at in our consciousness right now, right, of doing the deep dives. Pile 3 is how to work with pile 1, right? So what frequency do you want to bring? What things do you want to focus on in order to facilitate the activation of pile 1? I'll also be doing bottom of the deck. I'm going to be pulling a couple of cards on the Mercury retrograde, which is very much linked into this new moon and the full moon in Gemini, so this lunation cycle. So I'm going to be pulling a couple of cards on that. It's retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius, as well as at the end of the reading, I'm going to be pulling 1 card from 3 different oracle decks, which sums up the whole reading at the end. So, Libra rising, where is this happening? This is happening in your 3rd house. The 3rd house is the house of the goddess, and it's the moon's favorite place to be. So whenever we have lunations in the 3rd, it is quite a powerful transit. Now, it's the house of the goddess because the 9th house, which is opposite it, where you're going to have the full moon in Gemini, is the house of the gods. And this is where we figure out our bigger picture perspectives. Now, the 3rd house is the house of the goddess, where we bring that down into our day-to-day. How do we find meaning based on those perspectives in the little things, right? So this is the things you do on a day-to-day basis. It's your local community. It's your environment. It is the lens in which you communicate through, as well as schools, because it's linked into learning new things, as well as short distance trips. I think the 3rd house is a very important part of the chart. The more that we find the resonance, the meaning, the depth, the wonder, the awe in the washing up, the more that then ripples into the bigger things. So this is a new moon where the full light of the sun is blocking the moon. So this is where we set new intentions with our conscious mind into the unconscious realms of the moon. And so new intentions with this new moon can be about elevating the meaning that you find on the day-to-day. It can be about having a stronger a connection to your day-to-day, to your local community, having more resonance, having more energy to do the things in the day-to-day. For some of you, this may be starting a cycle around doing more short distance trips, right? Having a little bit more playtime. Or activating a cycle around being really open to learn new things. As well as, and this is doubled down because of Mercury being there, of an elevation of the way that you communicate and express yourself. What kind of information are you processing and engaging with? Remember, communication is a transference of information, right? And energy. It's not just about talking, but that's obviously a core element of it. Now, those are the intentions that you can set, obviously do with what you feel like. You can also set more inner work intentions, right? As I said, this house is linked into schools. And so a lot of the time we can, a lot of the time, sometimes we've got stuff going on in the unconscious of someone who said something to us while we were at school, and predominantly a lot of us had suffered during the school time. Like maybe someone teased you and said, oh, you'll never be able to do this or do that, and that's kind of locked into that third house. It's also linked into siblings, so wounds around siblings as well. So you can just ask the new moon, can you show me what I need to look at? Can you give me support of working through those things? So those are the kind of things you can bring in, as well as if you're finding difficulty finding meaning, right? And finding flow in your day-to-day of being able to get all the chores done, and there might be a block around motivation and drive and this sense of being present in this incarnation. And you can ask again, can you reveal to me what's stopping that, what's blocking that, and then doing the work. Blockages around how you communicate, right? And how you truly express your truth from a very authentic place. So those kind of limitations as well, you can set intentions around the new moon. So let's get into the astrology. Obviously, Libra, this is a harmonious moon for you. It's in a fellow yang sign, so it's very creative, it's very supportive. For the Libra risings, it's sextiling your ascendant, which is your embodiment of self. And so there's a real sense of a shift around and finding a way of embodying yourself in the day-to-day, finding a way of feeling good about who you are and the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, how you're expressing yourself. This moon is activating a cycle around getting you into that vibe. Now, this moon is making a grand fire trine. This is where all the fire signs get activated, and they are being activated by aspect, not just by sign. So there's a real resonance here, and trines are ruled by Jupiter. And so there's a sense of bringing things together in order to elevate, in order to expand and bring deeper wisdom, a sense of faith, a sense of knowing. And with that comes confidence. And that's where the luck and the abundance and the opportunities come in with the Jupiter trine. So all the fire signs, they're all fire, they're all yang, but they operate in different ways. When we get a grand trine, all of that's coming together. There's a sense of things clicking into place and an elevation of the fire energy. Now, what I love about this is it's followed the last couple of months grand water trines, where we were working through our emotional body. We were healing, we were integrating, we were raising up our emotional responses, our intuition. And then we had the Taurus full moon, which honestly felt like the biggest moon of the year in terms of the reset, in terms of the upgrade. It was conjunct Uranus and a fixed star called Algol. And so it was about liberating ideas in the head, separating ourselves from those that have blocked us from feeling in our physical vessel the abundance of the universe, right? And how to create from that space. So I really love the links of that, of one, the emotional body healing, and then the physical body being more in alignment and less triggered by your environment, by your life, by the 3D experience. And now we've got our instincts getting upgraded, right? Fire is very instinctive in its nature. It's just the go. It's the thing that's just happening rather than the thought process, the physical sensations or the emotional body causing a response. Very instinct, very fast, very passionate, very courageous, very the desire to move, to roam, to elevate. So this grand fire trine is locking this into this new moon cycle. So we have Mars over in the sign of Leo, which is your hopes and dreams in your 11th house. Hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, and are reaping the benefits from your 10th house, which is about life purpose and career. Career doesn't have to be life purpose, it can just facilitate it. It's the house of good spirits, and Mars moving through there. I often find you're getting stuff done in regards to your hopes and dreams. You're putting it into action. You've got the motivation and drive to do the damn thing. There's a real sense of finding more drive and motivation when you're in groups, co-creating with each other. Your actions being visible to groups as well, right? So a sense of recognition. Your motivations and drives are just more in alignment with finding the good spirits and elevating that. And also Mars in regards to reaping the benefits from the 10th house can often see you putting things into practice, right? Resources doesn't just have to be money. It can be anything, right? Of what you're learning and gaining from where you're headed in your life path. Now, Mars in the 11th can often see you putting things into practice, you utilizing those resources, whatever they are, as well as your actions facilitating more of that to come through. Mars is going to go retrograde in this sign. It's going to head back into Cancer, which is your 10th house of life purpose and career. I'm going to do a Mars retrograde series because that's one of the biggest events of the year. But it's not retrograde yet. And it's making a trine to this new moon. So there's a real sense of facilitation of your actions and your deeds, your motivation, your drive, that martial energy from the heart space, from that Leo energy into your day-to-day, right? Being able to implement those actions on a regular basis of everything that I just talked about. What was coming through while I was saying that is that one side of it might be that you're going to observe your actions when you're in groups, when you're doing things in regards to your life purpose, when you're taking action around hopes and dreams. There's going to be two energies here. One of them is going to be that you're going to notice your instinctive trauma responses, because it's the heart, right, Leo, of any blockages around there that you're just going to have a viewpoint over. You're going to be able to notice them and then be able to, like, the third house is like getting stuff done, doing, it's kind of like Knight of Pentacles, showing up every day, right? The more that we do that, the more we get more resonance. And so there's going to be downloads coming in when you're observing, why did I do that thing? Why did I have that impulse? And that led to sort of some clunky energy, and it's going to sort of let you know, okay, here's something you need to look at, right? And then be able to figure out in your day-to-day, put some things into practice, some healthy practices in, and also sort of have conversations with yourself about where is my motivation and drive, what's going on with that. You're going to get downloads from source with the third house energy as well to help facilitate all of that. Now they are both making trines to the North Node in Aries. Now, Aries is opposite your sign, Libra. You've had the nodes hanging out in your sign and in Aries since July last year. They're going to move in January, so that South Node transit that you're having, that is not going to happen for another 18 years. It's a difficult transit, but the wisdom that you're getting from it, the integration on the deep level, the deep esoteric inner journey that you're going through right now, trust and believe, you're going to see such a shift in the new year. Itoe of all that work that you've been recalibrating. Itoe la dishinia. Anyway, North Node over in Aries. So this is what we've been striving for, what we've been headed for. We're going into new territory wherever the North Node is. And this is the house of the other. And this is about important relationships in your life. Doesn't have to be in the material plane. This can be business partners, one-on-one clients, your therapist, intimate friends like your near and dear friends, long-term romantic relationships, as well as your relationship with Source, right? So I love the 7th house, but there's always a lot going on because it acts as a mirror of how you understand yourself. How are you showing up? How is the other's behavior influencing you, right? How do we, because sometimes we can get really distorted and prioritize self or prioritize other when we really want a healthy balance of the two. And so that 7th house with that North Node is like really been calling you to expand into new territory around commitment, around support, like one-on-one dynamics, intimacy, those kind of things. And you're going to see the flip side of both of this, of like certain dynamics in your life won't have been working, right? Libra regulars, you know, I've been banging on at you that unless your relationships serve a holistic life for you and your life path, they're going to be crumbling. Even if you keep, there's still an element of of sort of going back into the old paradigm. That North Node is stretching you, opening up your consciousness, your energetic field, to be in this new territory of receiving and engaging with the other at a higher level. But often that starts seeing the old paradigm show up, finding yourself maybe going back and forth into them. Ishali diala, dishani moi shani moi shani ma do shani ma. Oh, okay, you got an extra card. Diala ma do shani for the challenge. Itufini ma dishania. So all of this combined, a desire to find a greater meaning in your day-to-day, a greater resonance, a greater support, higher levels of communication on a healthy way when it comes to the other, and how that influence, how that may have diminished how you move through the world, through your actions and your deeds. Mars may have blocked your capacity to receive and give in an elevated way when it comes to how your hopes and dreams are manifesting, how you're reaping the benefits from your 10th house. There's a wound over in the 7th that is can often block us, right, of really being fully embodied on the day-to-day, because there's a distraction, there's a limiting belief, there's as I said, sometimes we can prioritize the other and then prioritize ourselves because it's out of balance. And so there's definitely something here around this new frequency coming in that's it's taking you into that newer territory of the North Node. But it's about the actions that you're taking. And as I said, two sides of the same coin. One, seeing the real elevated actions that you're taking and manifesting and putting that into work, while at the same time witnessing, oh, that instinctive response from my heart is distorted. For some of you, this is going to be about with a healthy one-on-one dynamic. This could be a business partner where you're working together on a day-to-day basis that serve your hopes and dreams and reaping the benefits from your 10th house. This could see more clients come in that are really receptive to the way that you're communicating, that's allowing you to take more action in regards to your hopes and dreams. For those of you who are in a romantic committed partnership, this could be about building together in the day-to-day and putting that into practice, like your hopes and dreams coming into an alignment. Or, important friends in your life. You're going out doing creative things with groups and just meeting more people in your local community and gaining more friends so that then become intimate and important in your life. Lots of different things coming through. Right, so that's the grand fire trine, our instincts getting in alignment with where we're headed in terms of our individual frequency and our capacity to roam and walk our own path. That's the core message that came through in the collective reading, which I forgot to mention. So for those of you who want a deeper dive into this moon, The collective reading is always the first reading out, and that's where I break down the astrology in way more detail. And I know I do it in a fair amount of detail in these readings, but I go into the whole thing and sort of tap into the energy of the download that it's creating through all of the sharing of information of the celestial bodies, right? And that acts as a frequency, an energy download, that's the baseline that we then work with each of our signs. Pulled collective tarot as well as channeled messages. So pause this video, go watch that, come back and finish this. If you want, if you've got the time, if you're so inclined, if you want a deeper understanding. So that's the grand fire trine. Now, who rules Sagittarius? Well, that's Jupiter. So we want to look to where Jupiter is, because Jupiter is influencing this moon. And so wherever it is and whatever it's doing is having an impact on this moon. And it's over in the sign of Gemini. It's what I talked about, the house of the gods, the 9th house. Now, this is all about perspectives, right? How you map yourself out in the world, how you figure out all of the things. It's your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, your connection to book religion, science, nature, God, source, whatever it is. It's a matrix that's bigger than you, that you know you're a part of. And what is your perspective on it, right? It's about learning. It's about mastering of something, as well as teaching and sharing perspectives. It's also linked into going and... Woo! All right, they all just wanted to fall out. Di scenimo to fiela, di tinimo o to fala, di scenimo to wila. Going and living somewhere that is unfamiliar to you, right? There is to help broaden your perspectives. So those are the themes of the 9th. And Jupiter's there, and Jupiter's retrograde, right? I love Jupiter in the 9th. One of my favorite transits, because after it, when it goes into your 10th, you're just going to feel so much more aligned with your perspectives. You're going to feel very confident. You're going to feel the wisdom. You're going to feel the embodiment. So it's a great transit. If you haven't caught the Jupiter and Gemini transit series, Jupiter has its own playlist. It's really easy to find. I do recommend, because you're not going to have this transit for another 12 years. And I love this transit. And so you might want to go check it out. We're kind of at the midpoint of Jupiter being in Gemini. So it's all still live, it's all still relevant. Now Jupiter's retrograde, and often that can mean a real inner questioning of what is your truth. What is your truth? What is your understanding? Who are you in relation to everything else? Where is the meaning? Where is your questioning your perspectives? I love it, because it's really getting you to dig further and deeper into your truth of who you are, in order to then elevate that and bring a deeper inner wisdom before you're then taking it out on the road when it goes direct. Now this is influencing that moon, and it is really sort of highlighting both those perspectives that, as I said, that may have distorted the way that you take action, distorted the way that you show up with the other, how the other shows up for you, how you show up for yourself in the day-to-day, how you communicate that, as well as giving a cycle around really being able to, as you go about your day-to-day, to find that inner resonance, to sort of get little dings around the wisdom that you're learning through actions that are happening in your day-to-day, through conversations that you're having with others, conversations you're having with yourself. There's a real sense of alignment of the whole process of your sort of your day-to-day, where you go, who you see. It might be a conversation that you have in your local shop that all of a sudden is acting as a jigsaw piece, a download that's like taking you to the next level. And also it's about a bit of trial and error around putting into practice your perspectives as well. And this learning journey, I mean, all of the readings I've done so far have had pretty hardcore messages. One, because I've recorded all of them so far in with the moon in Scorpio, but it's also because Jupiter's retrograde and Mercury's retrograde, and Mercury rules Gemini. And so Mercury is ruling Jupiter and therefore influencing Jupiter, and that's influencing the moon. And Mercury's in Jupiter's signs. This is what's called mutual reception. Now, they are basically psychically hotlined to each other. They're facilitating each other's journeys in each other's signs. They're often find when you've got this kind of mutual reception, that some of the actions of one planet is helping the journey of the other, and then it will go back to the other planet that's then helping the other planet. Like you might just see a flip back and forth between the 9th and the 3rd with this lunation cycle. And so Mercury's retrograde, and it went retrograde on the 25th for the Americas, and for the rest of the world on the 26th of November. You might want to see who messaged you around that time, or what kind of big ideas came through, or downloads that you got, or just where something was a little bit something was a little bit difficult. There's a conversation that needed to be had, or all right. Sorry, I'm just chuckling at the Mercury retrograde cards. There may be certain things that got activated that is going to require a delay before they fully get embodied. So you have Mercury in the 3rd house of communication, right? So doubling down on this lunation cycle, very much about you finding your truth and finding other ways of processing information around you that aren't distorted, other ways of engaging with information, being able to sort of reorientate how you apply your meaning of your perspectives into your day-to-day, just navigating, you're bringing more depth and nuance to that, and navigating different. Oh, you got 2 of 1 of the oracle deck. You got a bonus card. Navigating new ways that are going to facilitate a deepening of your capacity to communicate your authentic self, as well as it just feels like there is information and downloads around you that have been blocked, that are going to be unblocked, that's allowing more pathways for your mind, the information that you're collecting, how you're communicating it, to go into this new territory that the overall moon is doing, right? That was part of the collective reading of like being confident, walking your own path, and the process in which that, like, one of the main things that I felt inclined to say in all of the readings is trust the process. And especially with these 2 retrogrades influencing this moon, is it's going to take time, right? The unfolding is going to take time, and to trust the blocks, trust the challenges, and just know it's just taking you deeper in order for you to be lighter and lighter and lighter in the way that you move through the world. So this Mercury retrograde is getting you to question things. It's getting you to sort of reorientate how you find that meaning, how you find resonance in your day-to-day that is influencing your bigger perspective. So as I said, it feels like a lot of trial and error in your day-to-day that's really going to activate a higher level of thinking and collecting information. Now Mercury at the time of this moon is trine Chiron over in Aries, and Chiron is the master teacher, the wounded healer. Often wherever it is, it's sort of activating core archetypal wounds, and it's in your 7th house. So the whole North Node in Aries has been quite of an interesting one, because it's been hanging out with Chiron, where it's been activating a lot of deep wounds around the individual, the I am, the autonomy, and the themes of the 7th house of relationships, and being in healthier relationships where you're both individuals but you're co-creating, being able to give and receive in healthy ways, not diminishing yourself or diminishing the other as a response of feeling diminished by self, all those sorts of things. So you may have just noticed for a while now that a lot of your one-on-one relationships may be activating wounds about how you understand yourself, how you are received by the other, and all of that is really adding on to the refinement of the South Node in your chart. So Mercury trine Chiron. So there's a real sense of having difficult conversations come up with the other, with your understanding of it, and finding ways through that, finding wisdom through it, finding the way to have those healthy conversations where we may have just let it go because we're a bit people-pleasing. We think there might cause conflict if we do it, if we speak our truths, and we're trying to make sure that everything's nice and lovely. And so there's a real cycle around you finding your inner truth and being able to understand the wisdom of perhaps some situations that have been going on that may have been very difficult, and come to a new place with it. Now, Saturn is also squaring this moon. I talk about that in the collective reading. I'm not going to touch on it here, but it is in your 6th house of work, the adult in the room, how you work, physical health, routines, as well as co-creation and acts of service. So this really ties in to one of the major themes that's relevant for everyone, but you're currently going through it really loudly, Libra. Of if those relate, like, we really want that 6th house in alignment. We want to understand how we work. We want to understand how we collaborate in order to then, and also understand how to be the adult in our room for ourselves and take care of our physical health, take care of ourselves, in order to have healthy relationships. So the fact that this moon is square that, where you're building that, you're building a stronger dynamic around that. This also could be about with co-workers as well. It's all the things, to be honest. Itoi, woohoo! Just clocked what that one is. That this square is going to be about bringing up conflict around that in order to build at a higher level. Right, okay, so we've got the oracle cards. You've got a bonus one. Let's get in to the tarot. There's some other cool stuff going on with Venus, and obviously Venus is your ruler, but that's all in the collective reading. So the intention of this moon, we have the Death card, the 3 of Swords in reverse, and the King of Wands. Now this is pretty cool. So that Death card, hello moon at 29 degrees of Scorpio right now, but the Scorpio for you is in your 2nd house of value, how you value yourself. And that's really important. There's something around letting go of old wounds, right? With that 3 of Swords in reverse, letting go of things that have had an authority over you, that no longer serve you anymore, that's leading your heart, that Mars in Leo, to not be blocked by perceptions, words, spells, ideas, and allowing you to then embody the King of Wands, right? There's this high level fire energy. Kings are very mature. They're sovereign in their nature, right? There's a real sense of dignity and respect and understanding of that fire nature, and not being shaken by others. And that's such a powerful energy and awareness of it's like essentially summing up what I've just been talking to you about, of like, you're going to go through trial and error, you're going to go through challenging dynamics, but it's getting you to the King of Wands. It's helping you stand in your power, and in the process amplifying that frequency. Such a clear, simple message with that tarot. Now the challenge came with a bonus card. So we've got the Page of Cups and the 8 of Swords as the challenge, and then the 2 of Swords, hello moon in Libra, and the Queen of Cups of how to work with it. Again, this is another really clear energy. Page of Cups in reverse, 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords is the Jupiter in Gemini card, so it's been showing up a fair amount. Page of Cups is not being able to see the magic, not being able to see the love, not being in a playful, warm, loving energy, whether that's internally of the way that you communicate yourself, your day-to-day, relationships in your life, how you move through the world in the day-to-day, right? Without, not necessarily having the same meaning as you'd like. So this page is talking to a fish, and that fish is talking back. This is also a Pisces card, and neither of them are weirded out by it. And it's a real sense of resonance to the magical reality, to the synchronicities, to the unfolding, to your connection with source, as well as finding that there's perhaps like barriers around being able to communicate from your heart space and to receive communications from other people's heart space. Isha, they just put the cards over my heart. Of finding that just that love, that click in your steps in your day-to-day, seeing the opportunities, seeing the messages, seeing the downloads, right? So for some of you, this might be about a blockage with source of not getting the download. I did say that actually. Whoa, I'd forgotten about that. As I said, like those things in your environment being blocked off from you, and it's because of the 8 of Swords. And the 8 of Swords is all about being trapped in a cage of your own making, right? The 8 of Swords is, I love it when it shows up, it's just highlighting that everything is an illusion. This reality is in fact an illusion, All these constructs, these things that we think are solid are an illusion. And so this is letting you know that there has been a barrier, there has been a limiting belief, a perspective, whether that came from your early years at school or siblings or whatever it is, where there isn't a resonance, where there's a blockage around you. That's so funny that the cards showed up for that. That there is a perspective, an unconditional response, an unconscious response, a limiting response that's coming up. So these things are going to show up, whether that's internally or externally, of just perhaps feeling a little trapped, a little alienated, a little separate from the power of, interestingly, the way out is water, and we got the death card, which is Scorpio. This is about your own value. And that's how you move through it, right? Rather than externalizing that. So, how to work with it? Two of Swords and the Queen of Cups. Two of Swords been showing up a lot. Now, this is all about, the Two of Swords is about reorientating and figuring out who you are. This figure left their homeland, they've traveled across the sea, and now they're at the new realm. And they're going inward in order to figure out the perspective that they want to take with them into the new realm. So it's telling you to be aware of this. Why might this be around for you? What's the underlying thing? As well as in order to then sort of understand who you are and what's yours and what isn't yours. So much I find on doing the peeling back of the layers of self. You realize how much things you thought were you have nothing to do with you, right? They were all imprints. They were all conditioning. And so this Two of Swords is getting you back to the truth of yourself, right? And it does require going inward. It does require looking at your emotional body, looking at your intuition, and figuring out, well, how do I want to move around the world? How do I truly want to be? That has got nothing to do with anybody else. And the Queen of Cups is calling for a deep tenderness, a deep love to your emotional body, right? And being very kind and considerate. She also can see really far into the future. She's incredibly psychic, but she's not in a fear state. In fact, she's so at peace with what she knows, she's just turning into her environment. So there's this sense of softness, of not freaking out and worrying about the future, of how it's going to work out. This is about you getting present and where you're at now, and having a sense of serenity within yourself. Queens bring depth and nuance to their element. They observe, they cultivate. So there's really something around the emotional body, right? The water, your memories, the emotions in general, of like how they respond via your instincts, of tending to them and being so utterly loving. With the Three of Swords in reverse, it can sort of highlight that there may be situations where those swords come out, and you then got to do the work with your heart and your emotional body to nourish that scar, basically, that sort of that hole where the sword was, and be really caring for yourself and the journey that you're on. Because remember, King of Wands. And trust in the process. How to amplify and work with the King with this energy. We have the Four of Cups, the Knight of Swords in reverse, and the Two of Wands. So the Four of Cups is comparison is the thief of joy. This figure is crossed armed, crossed legs. There's stagnant energy. They're not doing anything about the fact that these Three of Cups are out of reach. And that's the flow, the celebration, being around others and feeling good, right? Really a sense of abundance and joy in your life. Okay, so this is telling you to look at where you may be feeling this, where you're grumpy about it, but you're not doing anything to help shift it. It is quite a depressive card, right? And we've all been there, we've all done that. And this is also reflecting on, if you see things in your day-to-day, your local community, say friends who've got things, healthy relationship, better work environment, whatever it is where you're like, I don't have that. And then you're kind of jealous of them. You're kind of frustrated. There's a bitterness there. And what you really need to do is realize, oh no, that's me as well, and celebrate it, because then you're celebrating yourself, right? As well as, just legitimately just celebrate the joy in the world, because there isn't that much there. But having Scorpio in the second house, it can it can very much, your skills and tools are quite intense. So it's saying reflect on this. Like, where are you with this, right? This could be about your hopes and dreams not manifesting. This can be about, as I said, relationship dynamics. And then we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So it's calling you to I'm getting two messages with this. One, slow down your rush to action. Slow down your rush to communicate, to defend perspectives. There's a sense of serenity that this card in reverse is calling for. It's the fastest moving horse, right? There's a real sense of go, go, go. And it's asking you to slow down and just allow some pause with that Two of Swords as well. Allow some pause in your life. Don't make rash decisions, right? There is, just really let it unfold. And I also feel it's about, because sometimes for me, I get messages around cards in reverse being the inner work. And this is about you reflecting on that instinctive, fast, you've had a thought, you're going to put it into action, where it's hindered you, right? Where it's a wound, where it's led to a situation where you're like, I did not need to go on that rodeo again. And it's come with the Two of Wands, which is wanting you to focus on the fact that you are embarking on a new journey. It's not quite started yet, right? The Two of Wands is about getting the lay of the land, right? They're at home, they're in a castle, but I can view around the whole environment, right? So this is when we have big shifts going on and the universe is going, hey, just pause, just observe and gather your thoughts, gather your resources, gather your understanding of the new reality that you're actually in, rather than perhaps being quite fast to act and then recreating the old reality. It's a long-term manifestation energy. Three of Wands that follows it is all about embarking on that new journey. So it's saying, again, pause, reflect, revise, revisit. They're all retrograde energies. And the cards have been so loud with all of this stuff. And this will serve you to get you to this, because it's giving you this sense of, hey, step up and be the adult in the room, rather than acting from those trauma responses. And that's the square with Saturn. At the bottom of the deck, 10 of Pentacles. Now, this made me smile a lot when I clocked this, because it's letting us know that what's going on here at the root of the intention of this moon is building for your legacy. Right, so there's this sense of maturity of being able to go out into the world, and through your actions and your deeds, with all of this energy, you are creating a longer term legacy, stability. It's a city. Cities take forever to build, but there's a real sense of foundation here between the physical and the unseen realms, right? It's about a union of that. And when we do that, right, when we're in the observer as well as the action orientated, when we're both yin and yang, we're able to create and build that serve us in the long term. So I really love that, and your capacity to implement it on the day-to-day by going through these practices. So Mercury retrograde, what's it all about? Page of Wands, very appropriate for Mercury retrograding in the sign of a fire, in the sign of the fire. This is all about new ways of talking, new ways of communicating, new ways of perceiving, new ways of collecting information, new opportunities, all of kind of the opposite of what that Page of Cups was, but it's that fire energy. It's your instincts getting in alignment. Again, perceiving information around you, no longer distorted, no longer that Three of Swords, right? There's a real sense of Page is very youthful. They're not jaded, so you're not holding on to the old dynamics. You're open to learn, you're open to grow, you're open to explore, communicate, and get the downloads, get the messages, communicate from your truth, all of that good stuff. I love that this is showing up, and that Mercury retrograde is just reorientating you to that. What's the challenge? 10 of Cups in reverse. So the challenge is that there's two things with this. One, you might not see outwardly in your day-to-day this in the upright, right? Where it's kind of like, this is, I know the Three of Cups is in the Four of Cups, but the Four of Cups kind of wants all of this. And so you might get a lot of themes, and this is when external to you are going well, right? And it's showing up. There's a sense of emotional alignment. This is also about you feeling aligned when you go out and about in the world, right? So it's in reverse. So the challenge is one, over this retrograde, it's going to go direct 12 hours after the full moon in Gemini, that there may be some real restrictions around this. There may be some frustrations around this. There may not be the happy relationship. There may not be the progress at work that's then dampening how you find meaning in the day-to-day, right? And just know that this is when you go into your inner world, where you go to that Two of Swords, when you go to that Two of Wands. So you got two twos, which is all about reflection. And around polarity as well, of like the good, the bad, all that kind of thing. And the challenge is also, how much are you feeling this when it's not true? It was 4444 when I said that. When it's not actually real, that this is in reverse, right? So sometimes we can perceive certain situations as not being aligned when they actually are. We can start to constantly see this everywhere when that is the fabrication, that is the distortion around the information that you're collecting and how you're processing it, and then how you're moving about your day to day. So there's a real flip. Two things. One, it could actually be showing up, right? In order for you to reflect on, well, how do I then show up for that energy? How do I keep finding that meaning? How do I keep standing in my power, even if this is happening all around me, right? I am constantly testing myself with that, with any kind of situation. Regulars I've been talking about for a while, apologies, that I've really been noticing everything is an alignment, even if it doesn't feel like flow, even if it doesn't feel like this. We're just doing a lot of deep work at the moment, and that often means that a lot of challenges are coming up that are actually facilitating a deepening of the future. I got a download when I was in Sicily, and it's the first time I'd had sort of a beach holiday in ages. And I got in the ocean, and it was warm, and it was great. And there was a cave to Neptune in the eyesight of where we were. And I just got in the water, and I was open to whatever that energy wanted to say to me. And it basically went, hey, babe, we could do like a total deep cleanse and like a real sort of hardcore upgrade. But it's not going to serve you in the long run. If you just let things unfold, if you just be in awareness of the building and the growing and the strengthening of what's going on, but it may not be showing up straight away, trust that it's going to, if you let it unfold and trust the process, what the results of that are going to be like 10 times, 100 times more than that quick action. So just thought I'd bring that up because there's some blockages here around how we engage when it's not all going right, when it's not taking the time that we would like it to take, and just let go into that Two of Swords, go inward, right? The Death card, let go of those wounds, and try and find, as you go about your day, the little joys, the little pleasures. So, how to work with the energy. The Fool. I love this for you, Libra. So the Fool is like going out into the world and is so curious and so open-hearted about all the experiences. I actually had forgotten this card was there, and it's kind of summing up what I just said. The Fool is just enjoying life, right? The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, the chaos and the order, all of it. It's so open to the experience and the joy of existence. And I love it when it shows up because it's a higher perspective. These mountains are the biggest mountains in tarot. The sun is at the Fool's back. It's guiding it forwards from the heart. So it's saying, go out, fight, try and put into practice on a day-to-day basis, operating truly from the heart space. And then when you're doing that and you see where there's heart resistance, where there's a wound that comes up, maybe do some meditation on that, maybe journal on that, whatever it is that you do to work through things. That's going to be a really big clue when that block comes up. So at the bottom of the deck for the Mercury retrograde is Judgment. Hello, Pluto, right, in Aquarius, which is your fifth house of your creation energy, your joy, your pleasure, your amusement, your games, children, literal and figurative, romance, dating, and love, right? The Judgment card is all about resurrection. You see at the bottom, these are all the dead, and they are being raised on high by the frequency of the angel. Now, the dead can represent old versions of you, your ancestors, your past life energy, and there's something here of around the focus of so there's a lot of stuck energy in the grid, right? There's a lot of entanglement in each of our grids and in the collective grid as well, of the sort of the moments that cause great pain, however that shows up, that even though you think you've moved on, there's a part of you where that energy is still entangled in your energy field. And so when this card shows up, there's a real sense of intention and desire to elevate, right, and to ascend, and be aware of those blockages. I would listen to sound frequencies at the moment with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. I would also focus on your inner universal truth, and like send big vibrations through your body to help do some deep healing. But the overall energy is like, in terms of the Mercury retrograde, is that those wounds are getting healed, of that I've been speaking about, and that you're going to find an elevation, an ascension around how you find meaning, around how you communicate, and around how you move through your day. Right, oracle cards. So I'm going to read them in the order I shuffled. So we have this is from the Four Agreements Oracle. That book that the oracle is based on was written by a Virgo sun. This was given to me by a Gemini rising. It's very mercurial in nature, which is why I've brought it out. Four Agreements I would recommend to anyone. You live by those, honestly, your life will change. Always do your best. Love and nurture your body. Your own body is a manifestation of God. And if you honor your body, everything will change for you. Practice giving love to every part of your body. This will plant seeds of love in your mind. And when they grow, you will love, honor, and respect your body immensely. So that's interesting that came up when I was talking about frequencies and doing meditations, doing clearing, sending frequencies through your body to help dissolve. Also that Queen of Cups, which is your emotional body. I'm really tending to that. We've got the Two of Wands, which is about pause and reflection of your environment and how you're responding to it, right? So there's a real sense of taking care of you will get you where you need to get to, and showing up, right? Always do your best. Especially with that Death card, Three of Swords in reverse. As I said, there may be certain situations that the fallout can be good, but also a bit painful, and you've got to tend to yourself when you're doing it. As I said, lots of love and kindness. Always do your best. Express your own divinity. Oh, love that. Especially for third house. You don't need the acceptance of others. You don't need knowledge or great philosophical concepts. You have the right to be you. And you express your own divinity by being alive and being loving, and by loving yourself and others. Oh, that's gone on the Fool. Yeah, that feels really lovely. That feels so on point with all of this. You know, of doing your best to show up in this incarnation. Lol. Okay, so from Rainbow Brainskull, we have this is one of my favorite decks at the moment. It's pretty brutal. It's came with the Scorpio new moon transit. Yeah. Yes, hi. I'd like for everything to stay the same. Right, number 55. What's it saying? Like, the cards are often quite brutal, but then the book's nice. In the best way. When I say brutal, it's not bad. Just some real truth. Imagine how archaic things would be if the paradigm never shifted. Sometimes stuff needs to be moved around. It may appear worse at first, but when the dust settles, you'll be grateful for this new configuration. Whoa, I mean, that just summed up everything, especially like you're going to be trying things out, right? Things are going to be shifting, and just be really open to it. Remember, Sagittarius, Gemini, mutable energy, adaptable, changing, a lot of rejigging. And it's saying, oh, you might find it difficult, but when it all settles, which is the whole message of this, love it when that happens. So up next, the final oracle card. I'll have a little flash at the bottom of the decks, but I won't read them because I'm already at 53 minutes. Fortune's Wheel. This is the Jupiter card of this deck. Luck and right timing. A turn of fortune. The Fortune's Wheel is a sign that luck has found the right timing in your life. You have the magic touch, and everything turns to gold. There is nothing you can do wrong. You only need to hold what you desire as your intention, and it becomes true. Do not waste this power on trifling things. Dream big, for surely this opportune moment will pass. Such is the nature of Fortune's Wheel. Use the creative power of the Fortune's Wheel for the benefit of others, and the gift will be returned to you tenfold. Use it only for your own gain, and you'll be left impoverished. Excuse me. I was about to cough then. With a bitter taste of... And you will be left impoverished and with the bitter taste of squandered opportunity. Now, I'm going to just highlight that when you do the inner work, you are helping everyone around you. You are helping your local community, you're helping society, you're helping the collective at large, right? The more that we get right with ourselves, the less that's going out into the world. So I would just add a little preface to that. Fortune's Wheel comes unannounced. Notice the early signs, the coincidental encounters, and the seemingly magical and synchronistic events that herald its arrival. That call, that email, that invitation, that chance encounter was no accident. They were all choreographed by Fortune. Do not wait any longer. Carpe diem. Recall your boldest and noblest longing and invite it into your life. This invitation is all that is required. And put it into your day-to-day. Put that really high energy into your day-to-day. So we have at the bottom of the deck, repairing the veil, forgiveness, right? A lot of love and compassion and kindness to your reality, to yourself, to those around you, getting out of conflict mode, and then allowing who you are to come through because of that. I'll be at the other end of the universe, being strange. Let yourself be you. Again, not being worried about what other people think and say about you. Obviously, be respectful, never be, but it's a real sense of finding your own truth and doing so over the next 6 months by putting that into practice. Okay, Libra, powerful, powerful reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, hit that like button. It brings me a lot of joy. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to dive a little further into this, the retrogrades, the South Node in your sign, Libra, not for too long, or anything else, doesn't just have to be astrology based. My details are everywhere. You can book through my website or email me directly, and that way you can pay by PayPal. But other than that, Libra, be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.